Okay, now we turn our attention to the efforts of individuals and companies whose main purpose is to provide Sharia-compliant services and products to the Muslim community at large. And my special guest is CEO of Sapphire Global Financial Services, Dr. Shakir Jeeva. And he joins me now from Port Elizabeth, where they have their offices. Dr. Shakir, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Malana. Thank you so much for having me on the show this evening. I appreciate it.
We definitely appreciate you as well, Dr. Shakir, and thank you very much for joining us via video. I must add as well. Alhamdulillah, we're very happy. I for one, very happy for that. Um, Dr. Shakir, I was saying to the viewers and the listeners that before our discussion with you, we went through some of the etiquettes and some of the ethics and the ethos of business in Islam, and we were talking about trade and tijara, but that business person who has a lot of quite a bit of profit and would like to make sure that his wealth is maintained and restored and possibly left over for his children when he passes from this world. I think really that is one of the greatest intentions that everybody has that gets into business or even works for that matter. The desire to leave something for the coming generations. In your line of work, Dr. Shakir, how does this desire to leave for the other generations express itself or manifest itself when Muslim people knock at your business and say, "Hey, listen, I'm here for help. Can you help me?" What do they mostly need?
Sure. Malana, firstly, thank you so much for that introduction. I think if you can allow me to set the context, I think what's
Hmm.
important, alhamdulillah, we are so blessed to be Muslims. And the reason why I'm saying that, because Islam sets out everything for us in terms of the way we must conduct ourselves, the way we should do business, the way we should conduct our transactions as well. So all of that, alhamdulillah, is encompassed, and Islam makes provision for all of that for us, alhamdulillah. And of course, that includes Islamic finance as well, in terms of the way that we do things, in terms of staying away from interest, for example, engaging in asset-backed transactions, investing, which is allowed for if I can use the word ethical or Sharia-compliant type products, insurance as well, which is also made provision for in the Sharia in terms of the takaful. So all of that, alhamdulillah, has been laid out for us. Now, in terms of Sapphire Global, alhamdulillah, we are a financial services company with our head offices in Port Elizabeth, alhamdulillah, but we service clients nationally. And
Right.
our main focus is on insurance, on investments, and on life kind of products as well. So what we find is, in terms of people leaving a legacy, normally people come to us for one of those type of components. So they would come to us
Okay.
for takaful, which is short-term insurance, or they would come to us for investment, or they would come to us for life cover. But what our role as a broker is, we try and give them advice in terms of giving them a fully encompassed financial solution. So sometimes someone would want to come and actually look at an investment, for example, but maybe they may not have a will in place, for example. And as Milana would also guide us in terms of the importance of having a will. So we look at all of the different types of financial facets that would affect someone's life, and we look at it in two ways. One would be in terms of improving their current quality of life and mitigating their risks, as well as ensuring that future generations as well also have wealth preservation and also wealth creation. So that, in a nutshell, really is how we assist people, what people come and look for with us. And of course, our role is to guide them accordingly, to give them, advice in terms of what are their needs, what are their objectives, and then we then guide them accordingly.
No, mashallah. So, Dr. Shaki, tell us a little bit about the Sapphire Financial Services. When did you begin? What was your inspiration? What forms, your staff complement? Are you all chartered accountants, or are you all, financial analysts, investment managers? Tell us about your group of people and how you got together to provide this service to the Muslim community.
Okay. Alhamdulillah, some time ago, we're fortunate to be in a number of businesses.
Hmm.
We part of a group of companies, and we operate, as I said, in diversified industries. And in the course of our various business dealings and transactions, we found it very challenging to find the right solutions for us from a Sharia compliance perspective. And we said that, alhamdulillah, there's so many Muslims in South Africa, so many Muslims globally. Why is it that we should actually have this challenge in today's day and age? And alhamdulillah, about 2 years ago, we started the Sapphire Group, of which Sapphire Global is a subsidiary of the Sapphire Group. And of course, as I mentioned, we are fully licensed and regulated, which means we have a license from the FSCA, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, which authorizes us to actually give advice and to conduct intermediary services. So, alhamdulillah, we are fortunate that we are licensed in most of the financial categories, as I mentioned, including insurance, which is short term, investments, life cover, and a host of other financial services as well. In terms of our group, we have quite a number of staff and supporting and administration staff as well, because that would be very important. It's very important for us to ensure that our clients are well looked after, our clients are well serviced. And of course, from a compliance perspective as well, we have to make sure that we comply to obviously maintain our license. So as I said, the industry is quite highly regulated, which alhamdulillah is very good because that serves to protect the consumers. In terms of our specialists, we have quite a number of specialists on board as well. And those are broken up into those that actually give advice. So there are those that are, if I can call it, client facing staff members, and those are the ones that are highly skilled. Some of them are CFAs, some of them have quite a number of qualifications and many years of experience as well. And of course, also have a Sharia background in terms of understanding Islamic finance and so on as well. And of course, we then have the administration staff as well that ensure that all of the back office components take place. So, alhamdulillah, we're quite fortunate on that basis. And I think our inspiration effectively for Sapphire and Global was that to make Islamic products available to clients and also to assist clients with the correct advice. Because what we find is a lot of times clients actually come to us and they actually are unsure as to what they need to do. They know that they need to preserve their wealth and grow their wealth. They know they need to mitigate their risk, but they're unsure as to how to do that. And I think the biggest myth, which I would actually like to dispel now, is that people feel that they can only do this when they have a lot of money or when they have a lot of assets, for example, to insure. But obviously, saving starts today. It starts now. And one doesn't need to have, a lot of assets, a lot of money to actually engage in that. Because I think people are sometimes shy, if I can use that word, to actually approach a
Right.
broker because they feel they may not, meet the criteria, if I can use that words as well. And as I said, our objective is quite simple: to offer Islamic products to people, give people the correct advice, so that inshallah that we can keep them away from conventional products, assist them with the
Right.
Islamic products, and inshallah, grow the Islamic finance space and educate people as well. I think that the biggest challenge that we also have from time to time is education. I think people sometimes misunderstand Islamic finance. They may misunderstand the actual difference between Islamic finance products as well as conventional products. So I think that really is where we come in, and we're quite passionate about that. So if you give me a room, Mulana, I can probably carry on for another hour or two. So
No,
I'll
that's
stop
fine.
there.
You you
We're
are
quite
you, you already answered the question, my follow-up question, because I was going to ask you what are the general attitudes that Muslim people have, but you did say a lot of it is people thinking that they don't qualify or they don't have the requisite what is needed for them to get into it. But also there's a lot of ignorance, would you say, Shakir? People just don't know.
Yeah, I think ignorance is a strong word, and I prefer not to use that word. But what I would think is, I think, as you said, people maybe don't know, or maybe they look in isolation. So just to answer your
Mm,
current question now, in terms of the attitudes of people, I think alhamdulillah, our Muslim people, and not just Muslim people, but generally in South Africa, we're fortunate that our population has grown, the wealth has grown as well. Alhamdulillah, while Muslims are minority, they also hold a lot of wealth relative to other ethnic groups or religious groups, for example. So I think that alhamdulillah, Muslims have worked hard and alhamdulillah done things on the correct basis. But I think now it comes into, let's call it, a wider financial consideration. So sometimes, as Muslims, we only look and say, look, we want to invest, but we don't consider, for example, maybe risk mitigation, or for example, our will or our estate, for example. So I think what's important is education is one, but I think the second thing is looking at things in terms of the full financial component of it. Because as I
Yeah.
said, it all works hand in hand. One would like to save. We want to save for the next generation, for our quality of life. But of course, in so doing, we have to have a will in place. We have to have an estate, depending on the assets that the client would have. For example, potentially looking at setting up a trust. So all of these things are where we get involved. We assist people with that as well. And I think sometimes people may confuse, if I look specifically at investments, I think sometimes people may confuse regulated investments and unregulated investments. So I
Okay.
think that's quite important as well. And if nothing else out of this entire interview, we would like to just get across to the viewers or the listeners that it's always very, very important to make sure that they are using a regulated broker, they are using regulated products, because this means that there are certain rules, certain regulations that the products themselves have to adhere to, and that is there to protect the consumer at the end of the day, which I think is very, very important because there are from time to time sometimes consumers that unfortunately lose a lot of money because they may engage in unregulated investments. So I think
Mhm.
that's quite something that we would like to impress upon the viewers and on the listeners, in
Absolutely.
terms of using the correct products.
All right, Shakir. There's one issue that I wanted to to bring up with you before I let you go, and that is, nowadays there's such a great amount of interest in cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, and so on. A lot of Muslim people are also quite interested because we're living in the same world. We've seen Bitcoin go up, go down, and people lose money and make money. But when it comes to such products, do people approach you? I know your company doesn't really have an offering for crypto, but when they ask you such questions, what advice do you give them?
Sure. So from a crypto perspective, crypto is what we refer to as an unregulated investment. So from a licensing perspective, we generally don't give advice or intermediary services regarding crypto. But if Malana will allow me to actually give an opinion, so a personal opinion, which should not
Yes.
be taken as advice. So crypto, I think sometimes crypto, we see crypto as an investment tool. We see crypto as an investment tool, but crypto has so much more potential. And of course, I will leave the Sharia compliance component to our learned scholars and ulama. But I think in today's time, as Milana said, that crypto or some of the crypto or digital assets that we use, such as Bitcoin, such as Ethereum, for example, they actually meet the definition of money. And we look at our credit cards today, for example, in the olden days, the checkbooks, I don't want to say olden days, it was recent, but the checkbooks, for example. So all of these are mediums of exchange, the storage of value, units of accounts, for example. So they actually would meet the definition of money. Now, in terms of advice and products, as I said, as Sapphire Global, we actually don't do that ourselves because it's unregulated. We do, however, have
Mhm.
a fintech company called Finanomy. We will launch a number of fintech products as well in the blockchain domain. Now, alhamdulillah, we were fortunate to have launched the world's first NFT, Islamic-centric NFT exchange on the Ethereum network as well some months ago. And alhamdulillah, I think there are many Sharia-compliant products available for people to make use of. But just to
Mm,
answer Milana's question as well, that I think a lot of people know a crypto or digital assets such as an investment tool. And yes, people can make money, but as with anything, people can also lose a lot of money as well. So I think it's
mm,
very important. And if I can answer that generally, or answer the question using a general perspective or general principle, a few principles we would apply as well. And if I can call it advice for potential clients. Firstly, if something is too good to be true, it generally is. So it's very important to actually stay away from it. So whatever that investment may be, regulated or unregulated. But I think also what's important is for the consumer to actually understand what are they actually doing. So I think it's important for people to understand what is Bitcoin, what is Ethereum, what is the blockchain, what is the double ledger system, what is the NFT, for example. So I think it's very important. Otherwise, one would get swept up in the emotion of it. So people are
mm.
buying, so we also buy. I think a lot of times some of our younger clients tell us about FOMO, fear of missing out.
That's right.
And I think if people know about it, it's already too late. The wave is already passed, for example. So I think it's very important any type of investment, any type of financial product, to understand it, to ideally go for something which is regulated, to understand the risk and the rewards as well. Especially with crypto, it's very, very volatile at the moment. A lot of
Mm,
people have burned their fingers. Some people have made money, and unfortunately, we only hear about the success stories. But that's normally one in maybe a million, and we don't
right.
hear about the other people that have actually lost a lot of money as well in that. So yes, it's very topical. I think it will only grow in its nature. I think it's got a lot of potential as well. But from an investment perspective, I think, like I said, people should apply various principles as well, and people obviously shouldn't loan money to invest. They shouldn't take chances, because then I think, we would also then be going against the Islamic principles of speculation and so on as well. So I think,
Mm,
it's always good to invest in things which we understand, and which we know. So I'm not saying invest, I'm not saying don't invest, but I'm just saying apply the various principles, which would make the decision a lot easier for the consumer out there.
absolutely. Well, Dr. Shaki, you definitely have given us a lot to think about and plenty information. I'd like to thank you also as well for being a guest on this inaugural program where we look at Islamic finance and the world of Islamic finance and investment. May Allah reward you and keep you going strong in your business and in your endeavors to bring to the Muslim Ummah those products and services that are Sharia and halal suitable. Jazakallah, Dr. Shakir, and may Allah reward you for your time.
I mean, thank you so much, Lana, for having us. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to just share a little bit of our advice and so on as well. And inshallah, I think, one last parting comment is, Alhamdulillah, Islam is such a beautiful religion. All the guidance is there for us. And Alhamdulillah, in today's time, we have access to all of the Islamic finance products available out there. So as Muslim consumers, we have no excuse not to make use of Islamic products. And Alhamdulillah, we have a wide range of products available. So inshallah, we hope that the Ummah can grow from strength to strength as well, and utilize the products which has been guided by Islam.
Absolutely. Dr. Shakir, once again, thank you so much, and hopefully we'll speak to you soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay. That was Dr. Shakir Jeeva, and he's the CEO there of Sapphire Financial Services, talking to us there out of Port Elizabeth, where the company is based. And of course, he's the first Islamic company that we've had on the program to look at various Islamic finance products and services for Muslims. And of course, it's a growing, it's a very small industry so far in South Africa, but it's growing very, very well. It's growing very fast, and of course, hopefully, we'll have a lot more companies like Dr. Shakir Jiva's that are available for you that want to make sure you preserve your wealth and make sure you leave some of your wealth for for your children, for your relatives, inshallah. Well, we've actually overrun with time, but we have one more interview to go, inshallah, and that's quite an important interview. So stay tuned for that. We'll be back.